in control against Artosis debate and keep going back and forth.
That'll be easy.
Feel stabilized. Wanna turn up the heat. We gotta move.
It is September 20th, and Artosis and Sean are still dropping calls or some shit. I don't know what's going on right now on Skype, but this is the 50th episode of State of the Game, guys, so welcome, everyone. Let's get a shot of those swirling webcams. Also introduced everyone. Sean,
I have to ask.
Oh, I see two of them.
let's ask.
No, go ahead. I want to see myself, but it's just broken. I don't know. Go ahead, JP. It's your show.
I'm just like, should we like redo this intro or something?
Oh, you should.
Yeah, you know what?
Go
You
ahead.
should totally redo the intro.
All right.
I was just going to
Let's pretend
say,
it never
All right, let's redo the intro. Let me bring
does
everyone
everyone have
down.
the most updated version of Skype?
Go back to the splash page. Play this again.
Feel stabilized. Wanna turn up the heat. We gotta move.
All right, guys, we're retrying the intro. It's September 20th. This is State of the Game and the 50th episode of State of the Game. I'm going to unmute Skype and see if these guys have everything figured out, but I'm sure they don't because their tech support is terrible.
Oh,
New idea
God.
has entered the fray, man. If we all update Skype, that might fix things.
No, man, it works fine. We just can't see Sean. That's all that matters.
You know what? Let me just turn off my webcam and turn it back on. Does that sound
Sure,
good?
man. While you're doing that, I'm going to intro everyone. So, I'm your host, JP McDaniel. Tonight on the show, we got a vegetarian who loves StarCraft and also has a male life partner, Dan Artosis Stemkowski. Dan, how's it going?
Going good. How's it going with you?
It's going good. A Protoss player who doesn't give a shit which gum you chew as long as it's stride. How's it going, Tyler?
It's going pretty fine, my friend.
A hater of flip-flops and a lover of Miss Oregon, Jeff in Control Robinson. How's it going?
Going well, thank you.
And the man who everyone hates, and the original line was because he has a D3 beta and no one else does, but now it's because his webcam doesn't work. Sean Day 9 Plot. How's it going, Sean?
I've never received a more flattering and accurate introduction, JP McDaniel.
Well, today on the show, guys, we'll be talking about MLG, DreamHack, GSL, players joining and leaving teams, as well as one that's might not be out there yet. And, of course, we're going to be ending with Brood War, because you got to honor the past before you look forward. So let's actually talk about the Orlando groups, guys. They were announced a couple days ago. I linked it in chat, but you guys have already moved it away, so let me...
Gotta link it.
I'll just link it again.
See it.
Link it.
You jerks.
I'll just link it again, man.
You know, I'm really excited to see Boxer play no matter what, because it's like one thing to get like a top 3 finish, but then it's like another to actually have consistency from like event to event, which is like pretty damn near impossible. That's why players like Slush and Show always blow my mind, because they're consistently in those top spots, and they always win games at every MLG. So I gotta say Boxer's my favorite in Group A, honestly, against Idra, Hey Pro, TLO, and Druby. So I'm feeling real good for Boxer in that group.
Oh, wow. No, that's actually... Yeah, he's going to do well in that group. I think you're right. I think it's going to come down to probably him and Greg battling for that top spot.
Yeah, I think that would be...
That's pretty impressive.
I mean, don't even really have to think about that one too much, do you?
Well, it's a pretty... I mean, I guess one side of it, too, is that, like, Greg's got amazing luck. Of all the people in those groups, no disrespect to those guys, that group is comprised of the most easily winnable group for an Idra or Boxer. Like, it's going to come down to those two. Druby, Hey Pro, TLO definitely have taken down really good people in MLG specifically, but, you know, I mean, they're not the favorites in that group for sure. So one of the kind of scary things for me is it's such a winnable group for Greg that in itself has kind of its own challenges. Like,
well,
he's not in Huck's position where it's like, Jesus, if you win 2 matches, you're a hero. You know, like he's actually in a situation where it's like, if you lose one, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's
He
true.
always loses to Boxer, though. Boxer has, like, the sickest record against him right now.
Yeah, he
We'll
hasn't.
see.
Has he beaten him in MLG? He's played him. Played him in
He's
Anaheim,
played
I
him
guess. And
multiple
then-
times in multiple tournaments, and
Yeah.
he's lost every real match, but he wins the ladder games, so there you go.
Boxer's tough, man. He prepares for tournaments and has prepared for tournaments.
He's a smart guy.
Like, I'm not going to make the same mistake. Last time we had one of the pre MLG, because obviously there's a few more state of games before MLG. I've been like,
Yep.
Boxer's the weakest of the Koreans. Oh, well, he's
Oh
not.
yeah, that's true.
Kills everybody. So not this time.
We didn't even consider him a factor. I don't think anyone did going
No,
into Anaheim.
I mean, the Koreans are July, Dongray, Gu, Bomber, Puma, Rain,
Hong M Prime.
and then Boxer. And of that group, more often than not, you would be like, well, you know, I think Boxer's not as good, but shit, he comes to the occasion, man, in our tournaments.
Well, Jeff, it wouldn't be a state of the game if I didn't bring up Drewby, and everyone laughs right afterwards. Is probably what's going to happen.
No one's
but-
laughing, JP.
What is JP gonna say?
But do you think his time over in Korea is going to be enough for him to actually come back and kind of show a new Drewby at MLG Orlando?
Well, his featured matchup is TVT. That's for damn sure. I mean, that's well, I guess not for damn sure, but I guess that's the matchup where he's impressed a lot of people. He took a game off of, I want to say, wasn't it MMA?
Yeah.
He had MMA actually. Like the game that MMA won, Game 3, was a comeback from taking the win over from Drewby under his feet. So Drewby would be awesome if he faced a legend like Boxer and took him down. But I can't wait for the rivalry. Drewby Idra is classic. Takes me back to that game on was it Core Hall? Or no, I'm thinking of the wrong. No, yeah,
Game.
I don't know.
I'm thinking of Core Hall of Series is Brood War, isn't it?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the WCG map, the 2-player one where you like could not defend any bases anywhere.
Okay. Kulaw's
On that.
Ravine is what I was trying to say. I don't know where that came from. I apologize, but that
We're
game.
talking about Kulas Ravine.
Yeah, where it was the Ultras that Greg made, and the whole game he was complaining that he ends up winning. You should be
Oh,
ashamed.
that
of playing-
game.
You should be ashamed of playing Terran.
Oh.
So,
All right, Sean, I've
that's
replaced
what he did. Hey Pro and then TLO.
replaced your image, Sean. You look very handsome now, because you never did before. Now, of course, we do have to talk about the. We have to talk about the 2 Europeans in Pool A. They're going to do pretty well. TLO and Hey
Oh
Pro.
God.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're going up against Boxer, Drewby, and Idra, but I think they could take them out, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, JP, they're European.
Yeah.
I've
Not
done
only that, they're Swedish. Man.
Yeah.
That's like the best.
I mean,
yeah,
is living in Sweden.
that's very true. That's a
Yeah,
great
he's
point,
actually a German living in Sweden. So if there's some kind of super European, it would be the
Outside-
efficiency.
yeah.
Yeah.
Outside of Korea, it's
He's a
Sweden's
European
definitely
2
the
layers
best.
deep.
I mean, when you talk about European
Yeah.
players, it's synonymous with excellence,
Yeah.
success, sex, just straight up attractiveness.
Sex appeal.
Yeah,
TLO.
that's true.
TLO,
He's just a yeah.
when that game descends into chaos against Boxer and TLO starts like hopping up in his seat a little bit, you know it's TLO time.
It will be TLO time. So who's going to win Pool A? I mean, 2 Europeans, 1 and 2, but who's going to get third?
It's going to come down to Boxer versus Idra for that 3rd place spot.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that would be unanimous. Sean, you agree, Mr. Swirling Webcam guy?
Well, I mean, my gut instinct is just like go with Idra, but like his results have been like weirdly not up to Idra standards. Like especially like in the last MLG against Show, where he had some like really won games and then made some huge blunders. So I mean, I'm a little concerned about the fact that he's up against Hey Pro, who always manages to get some pretty solid wins in Zerg vs Zerg at MLGs. Hey Pro actually very quietly has gotten a number of significant Zerg vs Zerg wins at MLGs, but of course they never quite ended up being cast. Because when you have at MLGs, when you have tournaments as stacked as those, people are like, do we want to do Puma versus MC? Or Hey Pro versus any other Zerg? It's like, well, Zerg vs Zerg is not the biggest crowd favorite matchup, but I do think that Idra might struggle. Jeff.
What ZVZ wins? I thought he lost to Idra and Machine last time.
Hey Pro did? I might be thinking of another MLG, but I know that Zerg vs. Zerg was one of his most confident matchups for a long time, and he had some good wins on there. And I think TLO is a total wild card, but I also think Druby is a total wild card as well. So it's like a very odd group. For some reason, I'm starting to feel like Idra might not be able to get into the top 2 spots, just because, like, very recently his results just have not quite been up there. But Boxer, I definitely think will be able to take the win.
Well, we'll have to see how it all unfolds. Move on to Pool B. Kiwikaki, Bomber, In Control, Sheth, and Puma. Jeff, obviously, in the group, you could talk first about it.
Earlier in the day, I did my "this group is easy" joke, so I think I'm not gonna run that one here. I mean, obviously, you got to talk about the lack of Europeans in this group. I think that's a big mistake by MLG. You need to spread them out a little bit more so they all have a chance to win their groups. But here we do have Puma, Bomber, Sheth, and Kiwikaki. Sheth's like ungodly good ZVP. It's actually frustrating because he plays with a fucking keyboard on his lap. It's like the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. It looks like he's jerking off while playing against me. But he's really good at it. He starts getting quicker and quicker down there, like, the roaches. And then I'm like, on the other side, just freaking out because he's a really good ZVP player. So it's going to be tough. I got to play him in the MLG Global Invitational. I had 2 close games against him. I 6-gated him, and then I also tried to do a macro game on Talarum Altar, but he kind of choked me out, didn't let me take a 4th. But in both those games, I felt like I had him beat, and I just made a couple mistakes and lost the game. So I'm on the verge, and I'm, reevaluating my practice and mindset, and I'm going into this MLG with a more optimistic mindset. So hopefully I can play again against him really well. Kiwikaki is a fucking conundrum. He's replaced Huck in the world of, like, I can't beat that guy. The one time I have played him at MLG, I had him beat pretty good again. And he just edged out and beat me. That's the non-DT game. And then there's the Koreans, Puma and Bomber. Fucking hell, man. Bomber doesn't lose TVPs. So I'm gonna be really, really happy if I can give him some good games. Obviously, I'm going into it to beat him, but that's a tall glass of shit creek that I don't know that I can paddle up. And then there's Puma. And he does pretty well. So I mean, his worst matchup is TVP, and I've watched him play no less than 150 games. So if I do beat him or take a game off him, I'm going to feel dirty as crap because I'm going to come in there like I could change my name to EG Anti-Puma, and I'm going to do everything I can to just straight up blind counter the crap out of him. So here's hoping.
Tyler, I don't think we've heard from you yet about the groups, but Pool B. Yeah. How do you think?
No one really stands out for me for this group, to be honest.
To be a winner, you mean?
Yeah, they didn't really put any star players in Pool B, which is kind of weird. But sometimes that's just how it comes down. I mean, Sheth, he has a rockin' ZVP. It's like, and what Jeff said, that saying he felt good against Sheth and then he just made mistakes. Like sometimes there's a player that you always think you're doing okay, and then they always, like, fucking get you somehow. And it's always, like, your own mistake, but it keeps happening over and over again, and that's what I get, the feeling I get against Sheth. So I'm not saying, like, Jeff, you're completely wrong, but sometimes there's these players that they're so patient, and they just wait for that mistake, and there's no way to take advantage of them before that, and then you just make a mistake and all of a sudden the game's over kind of thing. Sometimes I feel like that's the way Sheth approaches ZVP, so he can be tricky like that. I expect him to beat both of the Protosses here, although Kiwikaki sometimes comes out with something wacky.
He beat him last time.
Kiwikaki, yeah. So, but I still feel like Sheth is the favorite for that match, and then Bomber players, not quite god tier. There's a whole continent of players better than them, but I would say it's going to come between Puma and Bomber.
Artosis?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's clearly between Puma and Bomber. Those guys are like insane, and Terran's doing so well right now anyways. I'm going to have to think about who's going to actually win that group because...
Well, dude,
it's
Group
Puma and
B,
Bomber.
C, and D are all like so stupidly like
Yeah.
good. Like all the players are like very, very clearly incredibly good.
You know, it's clear that, I mean, Bomber is not going to drop a TVP. Like, his TVP is so insanely good right now. This guy actually is, like, the greatest macroer in the world. It's insane to watch how much his supply actually goes up. Like, you look at it, he's at 100, and then you, like, blink and, like, watch a small battle, and then he's at, like, 160, and...
Yeah. He
like,
did that in the Global Invitation game we cast earlier, so...
He did that last night in GSL, man. Like, he was always up by 40 supply against everyone. Didn't matter the matchup. He's like really good. But his TVT can be a little bit off and on at times. Like, he still likes to go Marine Marauder sometimes when he shouldn't. And well, Puma's TVT was like ahead of everyone's 2 months ago, but I don't know right now. It's like really hard to say because I've only seen a few of Puma's TVTs lately.
This is kind of a fucked up question, but do you think he got worse playing in America?
Oh, Puma?
Yeah.
I
mean,
don't
he
know.
kind of fell out of all
I
the
wouldn't
trends.
say so. Maybe he didn't get better as quickly as he was before, something like that. But I don't think he would get worse.
That's like the
kind of
political
silly.
way to.
Well, no, it's true though. I mean, as long as you're practicing, no matter who you're practicing with, if you have a brain, you're going to be getting better.
He sat here and played circles with Zenyo. He helped top train for his Code S run.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't any lag. He actually trained with Koreans most of the time. We just popped in for a few best of threes. DeMuslim and Idra played him a lot. Idra played him, I think, 20 games in one day.
Jesus.
So no,
Yeah.
he didn't get any worse. He played everybody back at home.
It's between those two, anyways. I mean, I'm going to have to keep an eye out on Puma TVTs to figure out if he's actually still better than Bomber TVT or not. But I don't know if he is.
Sean, you kind of already voiced your opinion, but you want to flesh it out some?
You know, like, I want to talk just a little bit about Kiwikaki, because I think that he's going to do really, really well. And he has a very interesting tournament personality, because I think that there's a couple of tournament personalities, just like general archetypes that people are familiar with. There's, like, the cheesy player, who will just come out and never really want to play a straight-up game, but always kind of try to dodge around the edges. You know, almost just being like, no, I accept my opponents are better than me, let's just try to, like, do this. There's players like Bomber who are just ridiculously, unbelievably solid all around. But what I love about Kiwikaki is that he has this precision preparedness. It's less that his, like, macro's good or that his, like, overall, you know, fundamentals are really solid. It's that he, like, comes up with this, like, build and this idea that has been, like, worked through so clearly. And I mean, a lot of people call that, like, unpredictability, but it's so cool to see, like, him just have a different thing he's doing at every tournament. I remember a couple tournaments back, his PVZ, he would do this really fast 8-gate +1 with 1 gas and 2 bases, and just flood with a bunch of Zealots and Stalkers and try to do a huge amount of damage early. And the build was executed so unbelievably crisply that it crushed a lot of Zergs when it popped out. And then at last, MLG, with his really, really solid 2-base timing push with his Stalkers and Colossi. And that, for me, is really cool because there's a lot of different ways that people prepare for tournaments. Some people just try to mass game and prepare against everything, but I always feel like Kiwikaki is like sitting down a month beforehand and be like, what do I want to do? All right, I want to work on just this. And then he practices the shit out of it for a full month. So every time I watch him at an MLG, it's really fun because especially from his replays, he's doing like similar things from game to game to game to game to game. So it's really, really a great learning point. So I'm gonna put a lot of emphasis on Kiwikaki because he's really close to making it. Huh?
Is he your dark horse pick to win?
No, he's like my actually just like I think he's gonna win the group.
Oh, he's just gonna win the group.
like him or Bomber, I think are gonna be the top 2 spots.
Well,
Puma's TVP can be a little bit off and on because of the funny way he sometimes plays it, like the really marine heavy, like if I make one mistake I lose type of play.
Yeah, but if I make no mistakes,
there's
you
like,
just look like an idiot. It's so cool.
Yeah. So there's like a possibility Kiwikaki could take him out. I don't think it's going to happen, but to say that Kiwikaki has a shot against Bomber is like pretty tough for me. Like his Bomber's TVP right now is like so frightening. It's like I watch it, I'm like, So what are you supposed to do against that? He always has like 30 more supply, and then he just starts taking bases. And guess what? His ghosts always snipe before you can feedback. I don't know. I cannot in this universe see Kiwikaki beating Bomber.
Well, they nerfed Ghost in the patch.
In what way? Oh, okay.
That was a zoom-in moment. He had to seize the
Yeah.
day, Artosis.
Yeah.
Well, in Blizzard's defense, they did make the barracks cost 5 more seconds, so
That's StarCraft 2 seconds, Jeff. That's not 5 seconds.
it will take longer down the road for those ghosts to get out.
Let's just move
I have
on.
this sick strategy, though, to counter that. What you do is you start your Ghost Academy 5 seconds before you were going to. 6 seconds even, then you get a quicker ghost with the new
Oh my
patch.
god.
That's game-changing, Artosis.
I know, right?
Fuck.
Pretty sick.
Pool C, Slush, Rhett, Rain, Machine, and Hongen. Artosis, I'm going to go to you first with this. We said Hongen and you laughed.
Well, everyone knows that I have a problem with the way Hongen plays because it's like so completely incorrect. Like the risks he takes are like so insane, and like for many seasons in a row he'll be unbelievably predictable and stuff. I mean, he's obviously very good. He gets deep and stuff, but I like hate Hongen's play. It's like the anti-Protoss to what I like. I see Rain probably taking this group, but I don't know how well Rhett is playing right this second. It's hard to say. I haven't seen as many of his games lately. So he almost took out Rain at Anaheim.
Yeah.
But Rain is still kicking ass, man. I see Rain taking the group. I don't see Hongen taking this group at all.
Is Rain back in Korea yet, or is he still living in New York?
New York.
He's in New
Yeah,
York.
I think it's pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay. Tyler, what do you think about that group? Pool C.
Well, of course, Rhett, man. Rhett's going to take that group, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Rain's good, but that was a fluke that happened earlier. Rhett's going to beat Rain. Slush is always tricky ZVZ. I think Rhett probably hates playing Slush ZVZ. And Slush is always kind of like he just surprises people, man. Not enough people respect the amount of like good creativity that he has, because he'll come up with good stuff, not just do crazy stuff. He'll mix it up, but it'll like work out, and you'll be like, I got played. And he has the mechanics to back it up. So I like Slush.
Slush
Yep.
is like living proof that you need to be involved in the community, because he constantly places really high in MLG and gets big ass wins. Nobody talks about him ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
No,
Yeah.
they don't at all.
And they should.
But also, I feel like we don't broadcast him as much as well, which also might kind of fall on
That's true.
MLG's shoulders.
You know what, though? The more I think about it, like, as nice as it would be to broadcast more Slush games, I'm thinking it just fill it up with more European players. Like,
Yeah.
if
I mean,
we,
well,
you know what I mean?
It's kind of hard to get behind Slush sometimes, especially because there's players out there who you might not know as a personality who just have play that's so good that really just turns you on. But with Slush, he will be able to pull out the biggest brilliance ever and take the sickest wins, and then just like his strategy will be run into the ground hard in really awkward situations and short spots. It's been getting better over time, but that definitely was the case in early 2011.
Sean, what do you think about Pool C? It's
Rhett! I'm
gonna be
literally going
Rhett?
for Rhett.
Is everyone
Just
going
like
for
straight up
Rhett?
I mean,
I could see I see it Rain or Rhett. I'm not going to just jump on the Rhett bandwagon. I love Rhett, and I think he has definitely a chance, but you can't ever underestimate like a Korean Terran, man. It's just like StarCraft 1 Korean Terrans, man. They are so good. So it's Rain or Rhett, I would say. I would say that Hongen, Slush, and Machine, I don't think any of those are going to take the group.
I don't actually have an inherent problem with how Hongen plays, but I just think that it is
All right.
especially... I just think it is especially...
You don't have like a problem with him having like 6 Colossi, and then his entire anti-air is 4 sentries, and his opponent has like 15 Vikings, but his opponent just never comes over and tries to harass. You don't have a problem with that? That's a pretty good play, Sean. You're right. All right, never mind. I'm sorry.
It strikes close to home for Danny.
it struck a nerve. Oh, 'cause the
Dude.
thing is, like, there's because I don't inherently have a problem with it, but I definitely think that it is something that should be reserved more for a match that you're going to play once and then prepare for next week's match. It's a style of play that will definitely have a lot of trouble in a tournament where there's like too much variance, because I can conceive of him, because he does take these ridiculous risks. Sometimes it's like, All right.
Mhm.
But I mean, there's a lot of people who will take an opponent and say, "Who am I playing against? Let me watch him, figure out what he does, and what risks can I take, and okay, that's where my edge is going to be." And that I don't mind as much in like a tournament like GSL. I think it's better to just like focus on straight up play, and then think about what risks you want to take later on. But I definitely think that could cause him a lot of trouble. I'm actually not as familiar with Hongun's just basic straight up game. And what
His
it's like.
basic straight up game is Blink Stalker.
I think he's going to do really well.
Based upon what Sean has heard, he'll do well.
I'm still going Red or Rain.
Yeah, Jeff, you said Rhett, right, to take it?
No, well, I mean, Rhett's European, so of course there's that he's got going for him. And as we all know, the European scene is doing phenomenally well. They're just really, really good players. Rhett continuously turning out good results over there. But Rain, it's hard to vote against that guy. I feel like he's a little bit of a mini boxer in the sense that he's kind of supercharged in these non-Korean events. Every day I look at the GCPL and Masters Cup and the various tournaments that are going on, and it's like Fnatic has all their kids get smashed to the ground, and then they send out Rain, and he all kills everybody else. Team Liquid actually recently in the arena were able to crush him with a young man by the name of Chef. So it is possible to beat him, and Rhett could certainly do it. He's training with Chef. Chef could tell him how to do it, but Rain's a good bet, and he's my horse for that group.
Well, let's move on to it's just the group of death, like the literal group of death in almost any tournament.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Pool B and Pool D are pretty close for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Huck, Dongragoose, Sock, MC, and July. That's pretty group of deathy, man.
It is, but I think Pool B is like quietly right around there. I really do.
I give the edge to Pool D, but Pool B is...
Yeah, maybe. Close. Pool D is pretty hard to actually guess what's going to happen here. Someone's going to have a good PvP day.
I don't think it's that hard.
I
think Dongragoose is going to take it pretty strongly.
Well, he's definitely going to beat July Zerg, but...
Yep, and then MC is slumping worse
Yeah,
than
I would say
else.
Dongragoose is a really good choice there.
MVP Monster is going to whisper over to Dongragoo's ear and say, "Here's how you beat MC. You let him attack you off of 2 bases.
I didn't see that game yet. What happened?
What happened in that game,
3
Jeff?
games. He was terrible. He made 2 base Colossus and attacked twice and died.
Is he?
Oh, okay.
I think he did DT 1 game. But it was just bad.
People need to get off the
bad.
DTs, man. Seriously.
Well,
But I think Dongragoose did that pretty easy.
Well, I actually want to sidetrack a little bit. Did you guys see the MC game on Twilight Fortress where he went air into Colossus Speed Zealot Archon and just got absolutely demolished?
What tournament was this?
GSL Code A.
oh, is it the games that just happened a couple days ago?
No, maybe it was the up and down matches.
Well, he was in both.
I think I saw his up and downs.
Yeah, but he was at top left. His opponent was at bottom. And he did this air and then went Colossus Speed Zealot Archon on 2 base and had very few units and a bunch of Speed Zealots and just got demolished. And I've been watching a lot of MC's builds lately, and it just kind of perhaps you better Protoss players could shed light. I mean, it just I watched him and it just felt really vulnerable. And I mean, that always happens when you're trying to discover a new style, that you have to take a whole bunch of huge embarrassing hits while you figure out the new way to play. But
the metagame in Korea right now for ZVP is so
Weird.
strong for Zerg. Protoss players, I mean, you're going to see weird builds coming out of these guys because more often than not, the ones that win are innovating something. Hero quite recently did very well with innovative Warp Prison play and lots of charge lots, kind of harassing expansions around every base. But then I watch Hero versus Lucira today for MLG, and he gets absolutely trucked. Not even close. Absolutely ran over.
God, those games, man. There was a
that-
good
that
series in
happened.
that
That was pretty
tournament.
bad.
It was funny. I was sitting here, and Greg and I were watching, and he goes, "Oh, look, it's 2 base Infestor Ling," because that's what we were talking about earlier today, and I said that nobody ever does it. Instantly switches to Hydras, Nidus Worms wins. And I was like, Hydras are fucking good, actually. But Zergs right now are just like you're gonna see where it builds out of Protoss. I guess what I'm trying to say in a long-winded way.
Dan, I got a request for you. I got to put you on the spot. There's 8 Koreans in these groups. Can we get a power rank from you?
The power rank,
rank them 1 through 8.
They are, or
yeah, rank them 1 through 8. Can you do that?
Right.
Is this within your abilities?
This is within my abilities. All right, I can do it.
And you're not allowed to do like these 3 are all 1 and the other 5 are 2. You got to give us like a 1 to 8.
You can start from the bottom with Hongan. If that makes
I'm gonna finish it off.
That was one of those delayed jokes where you have to think of it first.
It's like order of reverse disappointment.
I would go Bomber is the best player there, followed by Dongregu, followed by Puma.
Then it gets hard.
And then it gets hard for me because I'm not actually a fan of MC's style, and he has really been dropping off. He takes so many risks and whatnot, but
Boxer.
and, you know, I think I have to put July above him, and then I would say MC is actually better than Boxer, and then Rain and Boxer are pretty close. Hongan's last place though. There you go.
Who's 6 and 7? You said they're pretty close. We can't have a bunch of teams.
God, really put me on the spot here. Rain and Boxer. I would say. I would say Boxer is better than Rain.
Yes, Boxer fans will take any victory they can get.
Tyler, was there a specific reason you asked him to rank? Were you gonna follow up?
Oh man, I'm trying to extract the knowledge from this expert guy we have here. So you just gotta ask the right questions, man.
All right. Well, I'm gonna ask you a question. It might not be the right one, but who's gonna win Pool D?
Oh.
Hold on, watch those shifting eyes. Open up the pool real quick.
Yeah, I had to open up the pool. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Zaka. He's really good. People underestimate him.
You think he's
a lot of people don't know the European scene like we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're just not watching these tournaments. So, I mean, we have mostly North American audience, so we watch the European tournaments to let you guys know, and Zaka's the real deal, man.
I'm considering exclusively watching European tournaments.
Who's getting second in that pool then, Tyler?
Oh, second. Dongregu.
Jeff, you agree with Tyler's picks?
Yeah.
Is the Bro Toss going to continue tonight?
Should take it easy, but Sok, I mean, is the clear favorite. The big wild card in that group for me, and it should be no mystery, and I think Huck. Huck's interesting. I think Huck can beat MC PvP. I think he can beat Sok PvP. If he gets really lucky, Sok is European. And then the group gets a little bit more interesting. But he beat July, wasn't it, at DreamHack? And then he has Dongregu. I think Dongregu smashes him, but if he beats the people I talked about, or I think he can, he could end up pretty high in that group, and that's an amazing accomplishment for a non-European, non-Korean.
Artosis, DRG, is that your pick?
Yeah, has to be.
Sean?
I want to go with Huck. Dongregu, probably second. And I actually think that the person who comes out of the Open Championship bracket should get third or second.
Well, isn't there not a lot of great players in the Open this time? I think it's like MKP and then... I mean, relative to other...
That's actually, I'm kind of used to just people in the championship being ridiculously good. It's been actually getting easier throughout the year, now that I think of it, but...
It gets more expensive. The travel budgets kind of start declining, but...
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is that the MLG scenario starts painting out for people. I know that one of the reasons why White Raw was... I think he is going to this one, by the way. But one of the reasons why he was considering not going is because he didn't have enough points to place high enough in the championship bracket anyways. So he deemed it not necessary to go at the first point. So it's kind of interesting. This current season's system has brought up some scenarios like that.
Yeah.
But I think the stream's dead by this. We might be just talking to ourselves.
It's back. It does that randomly. Twitch just likes to say, hey, you're not live anymore. Just kidding, you're live. And you have to piece together the FLVs. It's actually awesome to edit, but it's a little bit too much information. Let's talk about DreamHack Valencia, as it did happen Do what, Jeff?
Well, it took place in Europe. I mean, if you want to talk about the best fans, the best infrastructure, just gorgeous beaches, wonderful staff, some of the best prize pools in all of esports, you have to go to Europe for that. And Valencia was the place that we're going to talk about now.
Now, Tyler, you were in the State of the Game thread, taking a lot of shit for Lucifron. Maybe you were defending your points as well. But you want to publicly state these maybe on a little bit bigger pedestal than the thread?
Yeah, man. Look, I was a little.
It's about to get real.
I don't know. Flippant, is that the word I want to use? I was a little flippant about DRG versus Lucifron. And I just got to say, man, I was right. Like, it's not an insult to Lucifron. Let me tell you how I figured this out. Because DRG, in his own words, any Terran, easy peasy. That's what he said in an interview when he had just completely owned Rain, and then he's gonna have to play Thorzane, and then he's like, hey, if he's Terran, easy peasy.
Before his match, Rain tweets that it's impossible to beat Dongreku.
There you go. So
he tweeted, he's like, what do I do?
So if Lucifron is going to pick Terran against Dongreku, the only question I have to ask is Lucifron the best Terran player in the world? No. Well, then I don't need to talk about this matchup, man. There's nothing to say. It wasn't even an insult to Lucifron. But, I even try to compliment him and say, I think he has some talent. I'll keep my eye on him. I don't keep my eye on every single random player. Yeah. But he's not some random player. So, but that match, he was pretty bad. And I think his fans, from what I gathered in the comments on TL, that was not Lucifron's best play. So I'm not going to judge him off of that. For whatever reason, he didn't play up to his standards. But it was really bad.
So the only match I saw was probably game 2 and 4 to the grand finals. 'Cause who the fuck wakes up at 7 a.m. in the morning? But of all the other matches in the quarterfinals and semifinals, did anyone else watch the rest of the entire tournament and have a specific match?
Well, Thor's. I mean, you said up until the finals. We're not. I mean.
Well, we could talk about the finals, but I'm just kind of focusing on the rest of the tournament for now.
Thorzane trashed Hero. That's pretty amazing. Hero's a fantastic player. Just got done beating Idra in some really good games. And then
I feel like
did
Idra should have had that though.
Yeah.
Against Hero.
Yeah, Idra, especially that the second game, the Metalopolis one.
Yeah.
Idra just fell apart. He had that game. I felt he was in a nice spot.
It was definitely a comeback for Hero.
Yeah.
It's cool tactics. I was getting frustrated watching it because I kept seeing Zealots come out of the same place. I was like, Greg, they're not materializing from nowhere. No! And they just kept killing shit, but that's hard.
It's one of those things though that a lot of times, I especially feel right now in Protoss vs Zerg, it's hard to know what you go for. I mean, everyone knows what composition they kind of eventually want to have, or have some goals for their composition or timing attacks. But being able to say all right, I'm behind. I guess I'll just do Warp Prism harass or do this weird Blink Stalker harass in this way, and that will help me get back ahead. That's just so rare to see Protosses do nowadays. All Protosses, from what I've seen, are doing generally a lot of 2-base, big attacks, and kind of pray in as they take a third, and it's never quite in your face. But that's what's so sweet about Hero, that I actually totally agree with you, Dan. I think that Dan Idra had the games won a couple times, especially Shakur's Plateau game where he had so much money in the bank. But it's one of those weird things where it's okay, I guess if you just go for Warp Prism drops really, really aggressively, you can actually pull some crazy swings back in your favor. And I don't even mean if you build a Dark Templar and he doesn't have a detection, you can get lucky. It's actually him pushing his way back.
I feel though, you can still do Warp Prism harass, but as Zergs get smarter and a little more aware of what Warp Prisms can do, they're gonna put a Corruptor on patrol, or in a Ling on patrol, and it's gonna become a lot harder. You can't just park a Warp Prism anywhere you want, the way Hero has been doing. You'll still be able to do Warp Prism harass, but it's just not going to be as effective because you're going to have to kind of get in and get out. And watch it every second rather than just having this warp prism sitting there forever that you use when you feel like.
Yeah, I thought Heroes built against Thorazine were pretty bad, but it's like that same Protoss problem where you feel like you have to try them every once in a while, and it either works and you look like a genius, or it doesn't and you look bad. In this case, I think Hero got kind of the wrong end of that stick.
Now, were the Rain DRG games close at all? No?
Rain DRG? No.
I haven't seen that yet.
No, not really, no.
Made a lot of Marines in one of the games, so it was scary for a minute there, but then they all died.
Huck, Thorazine, and Rain Naniwa were the only 2 ones. Everything else was a 2-0 in the tournament except for the grand finals. Is that... What?
So like 3
it's
out
like an
of
8-man single elimination tournament. He names like 75% of the matches.
Woes, and then 3 of them weren't, and you're like, well, except for these 3, the other 4. JP, that was like the most worthless statement anyone ever made.
I guess that's true.
This is close to half.
Well,
it possibly could.
Yeah, it's absolutely as close to half.
Let's just talk about the finals then, since I just got shit on. So
sick games. It was so exciting. Like every time Thorazine won, and they did the shot of him, and he's just like, "Whew!" You know, he's like, "Oh shit!" And I asked Idra, I said, was he upset that he had the series of his life and won $0 for it, taking second in this invitational tournament? He said, nope. Thorazine was like, wow, I didn't even expect to win a game. I thought I was going to get 3-0'd. So that's pretty fucking awesome. He sat down a championship against Dong Regu, the best CVT on the planet, and could have beat him, dude. That Metalopolis elevators tactic. Whew! I was watching that. I was like, I actually lost $20 in the game because Strife knew that Dong Regu would win. In his defense, though, he just kept picking Dong Regu every time we bet. So,
Tyler or Sean, what did you guys think about the finals? Sean, I'm not sure if you watched them, so.
I only read some of the live reports, so I can't actually contribute.
Well, it definitely felt to me like Dong Regu was in control. I mean, you could tell he's the better player in that matchup at this time anyway. And when Thorazine made something happen, it was like he hit a timing that Dong Regu wasn't 100% prepared for. But like every other aspect of the game, Dong Regu felt better. And in fact, he almost had like a really sick comeback on Tal'Darim Altar. Like he was just clawing his way back into a totally lost game. It was amazing to watch, but Thorazine is also really good at playing out a game as safely as possible to ensure that his advantage converts into a victory. So it was interesting to watch that battle happen of Dong Regu trying to get back into it. But yeah, definitely DRG, even though he dropped 2 games, ZVT is not looking weak at all, and Thorazine is just the kind of guy that takes games no matter what.
Artosis, you got any thoughts on the finals?
I haven't seen the finals yet, actually. I'm still working my way through. I've seen about half the games so far.
Jeff, you look like you want to say something about that.
Well, I didn't. Were we watching like an American tournament or some shit? Like,
there weren't enough Europeans in this one, so I haven't put as big a premium as Craft Cup EU number 37.
That's true. That's true.
Oh,
that's true.
God.
We did muddle that tournament up with some Koreans and Americans.
I think that is going to be time for a break after that. When we come back, guys, we're talking about the GSL and getting everyone's early feelings about the patch they hit today. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. As Sean's webcam finally turns on.
Really?
After an hour of circling. It only took an hour to circle.
Oh, hey, Sean.
So,
Hey.
Oh, hi, Sean.
we'll be back, guys.
I haven't done anything.
He's like naked and shit.
I'm like,
Oh shit, it's on!
Alright guys, welcome back. Artosis and J9 just decided to get up and leave. They weren't going to stand for this shit anymore. But let's talk about GSL and the fact that MC's out and who the Protoss Great White Hope is. Jeff, Tyler, who's going to be the Protoss that keeps it together in the GSL? Code A, Code S?
What's happening right now? Are we back?
We are live.
We're back.
Protoss hopes, man. Everyone keeps mentioning.
Are we talking about
JLP.
Protoss hopes?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not a
people-
player, man. It's called patch 1.4. That's where all our hopes are.
I
Or
can't
maybe
wait.
patch 1.5 is.
Look, here's the sad truth about the Protoss players right now. Alicia has fallen way off. He's no longer my man crush. I'm really sad about that, by the way. MC's fallen way off. Puzzle looked pretty crappy, actually, last night, unfortunately, and he's been one of my favorite new ones. Younghua is still stuck in Code B.
Puzzle was very puzzling.
Here's what's going to happen, okay? I figured this out last night. Within a season or two of GSL, we're going to have, in the top 32, 30 Terrans, 1 Zerg, and 1 Protoss. And the Zerg, of course, is going to be an ST, okay? And the Protoss, somehow, someway, through proxy Stargates, is going to be MVP Genius, okay? And each season, we are going to have one group with both of them in it, because neither of them want to play Terrans anymore. That's the future of GSL.
That's the future?
I don't know how you put Zerg and Protoss on an equal pedestal there, though. That blows me away. It'll be
Well,
29 Terrans, 2 Zerg.
I'm sorry,
and
you're
1
right.
Protoss.
7... There's 7 Zergs in the GSL right now and 5 Protoss. You're right, I'm sorry. They're way better.
Isn't it 3 groups of 4 Terrans and then 1 group of 3 Terrans?
There's like...
Dan,
with, like,
first
two
off,
races.
Dan, how fun is that to cast TVT the entire night?
It's okay because if someone wants to go like Marine Marauder and just like run around and not switch into siege tanks, I can just be like, well, this guy just doesn't get it, okay, and I can just trash on him and try to tell people how to play. And then if someone goes mech, but they're like moving out at like 150, walking across the map with their mech army, then I can make fun of them. And then I get to watch like MVP play, and I'm like, ho, you're so good, because he does everything right. So it's all right. I don't mind actually. I like TVT now that it's not all people that think you should go Marine Marauder. It's good.
Tyler, you mentioned 1.4 is going to be the great hope for Protoss.
Well, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, have you played... you said you were playing, so have you played any games on 1.4 today at all?
Nope. Didn't
Jeff,
play today.
I know you were playing.
The patch?
Yeah.
Tell me about those Immortals, baby.
The Immortals are quite strong against Terran. I'm liking it. I think it might be kind of the patch jitters, like Terrans are overly worried about them and Protosses are overly emphasizing them, so you're going to get some early game wins as a Protoss player right now. But once it stabilizes, I think that the Immortals should fall back as a pretty nice paperweight in that matchup, with some builds that you'll mix in. It's going to be like the replacement proxy Stargate pressure that you're seeing right now. Some Protosses are going to do like a 1 gateway robo Immortal timing where they have like 3 Immortals at your door busting it down, and it'll function exactly like the Stargate one does. What I really, really like is the PvP change. You cannot warp in on ramps, and that's something that either through communication from Blizzard or language interpretation, nobody actually knew about until today, for the most part. It's interesting. I just played a game on Taldor Malter, and I was trying to warp in on that giant mega ramp in the middle of the fucking map, and it's like, no, you can't, no. And then you have to warp in above it. So I like that. That means the 4-gate is, for all intents and purposes, dead in PvP, which means that there's going to be a lot more macro games and different styles, and the matchup's just, for the first time, I think, in StarCraft 2 history, in flux. It's always been gateway timings that are the first thing you're concerned about in PvP, right? It just used to be in the beta that you would get 3 Zealots or 4 Zealots in their base at like the minute 55 mark. Now it has been stretched to the 6-minute mark, but now it's gone forever, which is kind of nice. As far as the other things, Zergs are thinking it's doomsday for ZVP. Greg's already speaking like he's got his like finals, like the last 5 Zergs on the earth are huddled amongst him. He's like, gentlemen, we will find a way to win. We'll discover our victory path, and we will be victorious. Like it's incredible how sad the Zerg players are, but I think they're going to find out that it's like the reverse Infestor. It used to be that they thought they had to use the Infestor for everything. Now they're going to discover everything else is pretty good too. So,
Dan or Sean, you guys have any thoughts? I mean, I don't know if you've played it all, but
I haven't actually played it since the patch, so.
Sean?
So I haven't played it, but I also think that like the no ramp warping thing will weirdly help the other matchups, because Protoss versus Protoss felt very coin flippy in a lot of major tournaments. So you'd get something where you'd have, a mediocre Protoss against a really good Protoss meeting up, and the mediocre Protoss would incidentally win just due to some very, very slight micro decisions, and then advance to the next round and just get demolished. And that has happened like a number of times where a weaker player will win a Protoss versus Protoss, and by weaker I mean like not as good as at the other two matchups. So I think that this like allows for a lot more stability, because I mean, especially of all matchups, I think that like Terran versus Terran is the one that kind of allows you to get to the farthest and allows you to exploit your skill the most. Zerg vs. Zerg still kind of has some of these, or at least for a long time it did have just whoever landed the Baneling hit early was just the clear winner. Now Zergs are kind of stretching it out a little more with roaches, and it's still a little doofy in some places, but Protoss vs. Protoss I would describe as almost certainly the doofiest. So that's sort of like...
What I am really excited about, though,
almost
the TVP matchups I considered unwinnable in Korea and in Codes, the numbers are pretty indicative of that. What I really like, though, is that Blizzard took a look at the numbers, and they realized that the big reason why is everyone's been complaining about the acceleration of the mothership. I mean, obviously, you guys see where I'm going with this. And then also, the Immortals' lack of utility in the late game. I mean, when those EMPs carpet bomb my entire army, you know what I'm thinking? What if I had fucking 4 Immortals right now, Like, if I had 4 fucking Immortals just going, I don't give a shit about you, and they're just killing everything, then that's the story of success. And we didn't make the Immortals because all the Protoss players universally, like Tyler and I, we bumped shoulders in MLG, and he was like, yeah, range 5 Immortal, I don't know if I'm ever going to make one. And I was like, I know, man. They need to do something about that. So they changed it. So with the acceleration of the mothership and that +1 range on the Immortal, Bomber and Puma better look out. Mama's got a new toy. And then look at the mothership Immortal rush them. I'm gonna recall like 7 Immortals in the middle of their base. It's gonna fucking work because everything will die.
Are you revealing strategies?
Even the stuff that's 6 squares away.
It just happened.
It's going to happen at MLG
Having
Orlando.
problems with Ghost, so they buff everything that Ghost counter.
Oh, God. Getting back to the GSL, are we ever going to see a Terran or a non-Terran in the top 8? And how long is it going to be, Artosis?
Yeah, what?
Like, how long is it going to be till another race breaks into the top 8?
Of GSL?
Yeah.
Didn't we have non-Terrans in
Top
the top 8
4?
last season?
I guess top 4 is the better stat.
We had that too.
Did we?
Geyser. Yeah.
Okay, in the fucking finals, Artosis.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was like, didn't we have Nesty Lacira like really recently?
Yeah, like
There's too many Terrans is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, there's too many Terrans, man. We know that. There's 20.
All right. I can't win with Artosis. I'm just not throwing anything to him for the rest of the day. And
I guess what
you
he's
just pissed off
asking
Tyler.
there
He left
is-
the call, too.
It's like a big deal when a Zerg or Protoss pokes in the top 8. He's asking who you think the next one is going to be.
Who is the next one? Probably just Nesty. I don't know. Nesty will just get up there, man. He does that.
You start off by asking who's the Protoss hope to. You're the guy that knows Korea very well. Tyler and I know Europe. Dan, Sean knows Diablo 3. I mean, what about in Korea is going to... Who's going to...
The Protoss hope is like Younghwa, but he's stuck in Code B, so I guess that doesn't count.
Damn it, dude.
I don't know. Who is it supposed to be? Like, I was so looking forward to Puzzle's play this season, then it was like completely lackluster, like totally screwed up.
What about Sage? Didn't he have a ton of hype going on?
Oh, Sage is he's like the god of Protoss. Okay,
He's Code A, right?
No, I don't think so. No, unless they just gave him a spot. He didn't make it through qualifiers again.
I thought I saw him playing tonight. Let's see.
Is he?
Priester and Dreamer playing right now.
He's playing
I
against
thought that was a
Yoda.
Mondo.
Yeah, he plays against Yoda tonight.
Oh,
match
so they
4.
did. I heard that they were going to give him a spot. Okay, I think they just want to get a Protoss that can actually make it deep. Sage is he's between him and Younghwa, man. There are people that know Protoss, and I'm sure Tyler, ever since he's going to start playing again, like he said, right? So there you go. Those are the 3 Protoss hopes. And I think Huck's going to definitely make it round of 16 day. Definitely.
I can't win, man. I just deleted the entire thing. I'm just gonna blame this on Tyler. While I figure this out, do what? What, Artosis?
What did you delete?
The whatever it's called, overlay. I can't talk now. Let's talk about the Stefano situation with complexity. This is actually pretty
Can someone
interesting.
sum it up? Because I try
Yes.
to read. But
Yeah,
it's so
Jeff,
painful.
you're usually pretty good at summing this stuff up. So
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Okay, so Stefano's contract was coming up. He was enjoying a baguette, wearing his paperboy hat on the street corner of a cobblestone brook. One of his legs was crossed over his knee. In complexity, Jason contacted him and said, "Yo, hey, we want to sign you, man. You're such a good player. You're a great guy. We want to sign you to complexity. What do you say?" And he goes, "I don't know. I have to talk to every other team in the market and go to Millennium and ask them about it as well." So they did that. Stefano was in talks with Fnatic. He was in talks with a few other teams. Millennium was like, I'm retired, but if you leave team, no problem. Contract not real. Maybe we sign you anyways. And so Jason,
What happened to that accent? It was like New York to street peddler.
listen, been focusing on Britain and Australia for a long time. My other accents are really fucked up, but Jason Lake's like, well, what do you say? Should we sign it? And Stefano was just about to sign, but then Jason Lake cast a disorienting spell. He actually shot fireworks out of his hands that turned into disco balls and all kinds of disorienting light and movement. And Stefano didn't know what was going on. He was like, "I'm only 18 years old and one of the best foreign zergs from Europe." Ah. And then his hands actually signed the contract for complexity on accident, of course. Jason ran off into the sunset laughing manically, and he was really happy. He's an American. Millennium hears about this. They go to him and they say, "Hey, what do you think about signing with us?" Stefano's like, "I'm not sure. I think I just signed with complexity." They're like, "Don't worry about that. We've got French loopholes." So Stefano, after announcing that he's with complexity, then announces that he's not sure. Millennium starts throwing mud at complexity, and here we are.
Well, also, did you read the statement released by Millennium, Jeff?
Yes, I did.
The 500 words that actually didn't say anything. That was the most political statement I've ever heard.
There's 2 statements. There's one that was French, but from what I understand from people in the thread, it was bad French, and then it was translated poorly through Google Translate. So a Frenchman looked at it and was like, "Okay, I'll actually translate it." And then he was like, "Listen, this is actually really bad French." So I don't know what happened in Team Millennium. They have fake French people sending off messages, but they use.
You remember
really
No Hope from StarCraft 1?
I
You guys
do.
remember No Hope?
Yeah.
That's there you go, man. That guy
Is
had
that
some
him?
great sentences.
Oh
No.
Okay.
He would be the translator in that case.
And then the second message was
We bring a Brood War reference just to talk about poor translations. That's the good old boys club.
really good.
He
It made a lot
translates
of
worse
sense.
than No Hope.
But I guess damn, Sean, you laugh forever.
His laughs
don't-
are so selfish, man.
Yeah, Millennium basically said that he was tricked into signing a contract, and that he used disorienting tactics to get Stefano to sign it. And then Stefano, I don't know what team he's on, man. I have no fucking idea.
Stefano? Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's legally on 2 teams, I think, according to French law and
Yeah,
common
I reached out to Complexity about getting Bass on. I think he's going to be on live on 3 tonight, or tomorrow night instead. So we'll have to listen in for the.
He said no to State of the Game and went to live on 3.
Well, to be fair, Slasher asked him first, and
Yep. Slasher's not as good as we are.
Yeah, but Complexity asked Stefano first, and now look where we are.
Damn, Dan.
That's actually a pretty good
I want to
point,
be as funny as you are someday.
Eh.
Sean, you got any thoughts on the whole situation? All right,
almost killed me
those
with
are
that.
good, those are good thoughts.
I don't know, because I actually, like, taking it from, like, a totally neutral standpoint, it leaves a really interesting question. Esports is developing, and when a contract is signed like that, I mean, part of the thing to note is that, like, when you sign a contract, like, like, chains don't come out of the sky and grapple you to the ground and make you do what the contract says. Like, I could, sign a contract with JP. Like, let's say JP wanted me to, like, mow his lawn and stuff, and I mow the lawn, and JP was like, "Yeah, here's a contract. I'll pay you like $50 because he pays really well. It's a really small yard." And at the end, he's just like, "Yeah, fuck you. I'm not paying." Like, there's nothing that actually stops him from doing that, but the contract will, of course, allow me to then pursue that in a legal matter and retrieve my $50, right? But especially now that, again, because esports is like this emerging situation, like, what do you do if a player signs and then steps away? Again, not even looking at, like, Stefano or what the teams are, but what do you do if a player signs and then just, like, straight up disobeys the contract, doesn't do anything involved with that? It's, like, such a hard spot, because, like, one thing that Complexity wrote really rung true for me. It's like, do we make this player play on our team? It feels kind of weird. Or do we just try to pursue it with legal action? Because, again, like, esports players are not soccer players who are getting like $44 million to go to a team or something like that, Like, is it like, what do you do there? And that's one thing that, like, that's the thing that sort of got to me quite a bit.
My sympathy, and from what I've read too, because obviously we don't know every detail, but from what has been said from both Millennium and Complexity, I have apparently, because I'm EG, I have a rivalry with Complexity, but I really admire their perspective. Like, it's shitty as hell. It appears that Stefano doesn't want to be on their team, despite signing it. But what the Jasons have said from Complexity is listen, contracts matter in esports, and we're going to go to bat for them. They're all former lawyers, so they're good at this shit. But they're going to contact French lawyers, which means you have to go to like the opium dens of France. It's ridiculous, the process, but they're going to go as far as they can to make this real, and I admire that because, to your point, Sean, if esports is going to get to the point where a 45-year-old Idra is transferred over to BC, Fnatic or whatever for $55 million, that contract's got to matter. But it takes development stages like this for us to learn that as a community. Like, Stefano should not be able to waffle like that and jerk around Complexity, which is a major team. If Complexity just rolls over belly up, you know how bad that looks for everyone? Like, oh, you don't want our contract? Okay, maybe next time? Like, please, can we have our paper back at least? It was on nice paper. Like, fuck the hell, man. Shit's gotta matter.
Tyler, you got any thoughts on this whole weird situation?
Pretty much the same as Jeff. I mean, where are we at if the contracts don't matter? Like, it's just kind of crazy. And I don't know what result I actually want to come out of this whole thing. Like, for Complexity, whatever they're seeking legally, I don't really care. But I mean, they have to do something, or they have to try to do something, because when you sign that means something, and it has to. But it's always been like on my mind, like, we're not that established yet. There's not like a governing body that, like, you're going to be exiled from every league if you do something like this. And then of course international law makes it all kinds of confusing legally.
Yeah.
So it's always been on my mind, like, that something like this is going to happen, and now it kind of happened, and I hope that we can come out of it with integrity from these business relationships.
It's gonna be hard. That stuff that Millennium publicly stated, man. Ooh, I mean, on the one hand, I hope it's not true, but on the other hand, I hope it is true, because they're strong accusations. Like, they said complexity disoriented Stefano and tricked him into signing a contract. What's
That's pretty hard to
What's
do
that
over
even
the internet,
look
man.
like?
I want to learn how to do that. Are you kidding me?
Stefano, we just
I can
ordered
like
you a
trick someone
pizza.
over Skype to do to sign a contract they don't want to sign. What?
Well, I think from what Slashers told me, there's going to be a lot more kind of to be said tomorrow on Live on 3, so tune into that. I don't know when it goes live, but I'm sure Slasher will be tweeting about it right now, so go watch Twitter. Sean, your webcam just went on. Okay, good. Anyways,
Yeah, I turned it off and on 'cause it froze.
He turned it to followers only, and it turns out the only people that do the chat for our show are non-followers.
yeah, it's too bad, man. They lost it. They lost that privilege. They fucked
They're
up.
on timeout.
Yeah, they're in timeout.
They're not, though. That's the funny part. It's if you're a follower, but there's 0 posts in there.
Yeah.
No one clicks the follow button. Damn.
Well, they'll learn, and then I'll have to somehow figure out how they can't talk. Then once they figure that out, but Naniwa leaving Dignitas, is that a big surprise to anyone? I mean that.
No.
I mean, that people were kind of like shocked when it went live, but like, eh.
That honestly really doesn't surprise me, and I am delighted that it doesn't, because there has been so many, like, this player was caught doing heroin at a tournament, so he got kicked off, and like this player allegedly played on 3 different teams at once, and all these 3 players, it's like these like huge dramatic, but now it's just like Naniwa elected to leave a team to pursue playing in Korea more. There you go. So it's like, thank God. It's like he left the team, and I was like, and then I read it, and he left, and I was like, oh thank God. Like, it shouldn't be weird. It shouldn't be weird that a player leaves a team.
Yeah.
Because I have left teams with like no animosity at all. It's just like, this maybe isn't quite the fit for me, and they're like, okay, it's great, and then there you go, and it was done. Like,
I mean, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I was going to say a couple things. You should probably turn the chat back on, too. They had their time out. First and foremost, for a little bit behind the scenes, most players signed a 1-year contract. So as we get closer to December, you're going to be seeing, well, January, I guess more specifically, but you're going to be seeing a lot of players. Well, I don't know. I don't know about a lot, but a lot of contracts are coming to an end and discussions are going on right now. So players are moving around. It kind of makes me tug at that conversation we had a while ago where it's like it'd be kind of cool if every time a player was signed or not signed, that information is made public. But then we had the talk where it's like, who starts it off? I don't want to do it, so maybe in the future. That's behind the scenes, but then even Naniwa as a player and as a person, I consider him a friend. He's a really cool guy. He's one of the funniest freaking players I know, but he is tough to have on a team. It's just kind of point blank. He's changed his attitude, and he's a much nicer person publicly. That's great, but he kind of stirs some stuff up, so I know that Dignitas has been having a tough time with him for a while. Whatever team he goes to, I hope it's another one of those kind of epiphany moments he had going to Dignitas where it's like, maybe I should, change my attitude a little bit and I'll be have a more positive experience. So hopefully that happens.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who he'll... Eventually he's going to run out of teams if he doesn't.
Well, look, I think he just wants to focus more on Korea right now. That's what it seems like to me, at least. And just a little quick announcement, thehandsomenerd.com now sells Naniwa t-shirts to help him out. So there you go. We just put them up like today. So check it out, thehandsomenerd.com. Help Naniwa out. Buy a shirt if you like him.
Help him out?
Yeah, man.
He's in Korea by himself, Jeff. That's tough, man.
Yeah, costs money, man. It does.
I'm like waiting for the Jeff.
Not for you, Jeff. You gotta say.
I can see his eyes
I'm
shifting around.
disoriented. Dan did it. I'm like, guy's like won major cash prizes. He's enjoyed a very good salary for a long time. He's living there for free for the most part. Just left the team 2 days ago. Dan throws up his shirt on the webcam. It's like the Help Naniwa Fund. And I'm like, it's like Bill Gates steps down from like his ownership position of Microsoft, and then the next day there's a Help Bill Gates Fund. I don't know.
Well, the best part is that Handsome Nerd's probably not up for now and probably won't be up for the foreseeable future.
What the hell? I just bought new web hosting too, and it's already down.
No, I went
swear,
there
man.
and it was up.
Well, Sean's going to buy a Help Naniwa shirt, but no one else is.
Yeah.
No, yeah, buy him. I'm not trying to say not. It's funny how immediate that is.
Dan, I'm going to put you on the spot. because we're going to go to a break, talk about Brood War when we come back. You said you had an announcement to me before the show. Do you want to make it?
Here, let me... Oh, I think it's up. Hold on. 1 second. Oh. Talk to them for just 1 second, JP.
And the announcement that Artosis will be making is going to happen in just a few...
Oh God! The corny intro one's gonna have to go up. The other one is just
go
not
up, man.
finishing. I don't know.
It's got to go up.
Hold on.
When
Sad face.
Handsome Nerd goes down, Six Jacks comes back up. How did we not talk about that with Dan yet?
Yeah, I guess it was just kind of...
Well, you kind of have to. It's a major deal when a big
Here,
team...
let's put Dan on the spot twice. Hey, Dan,
All right.
Six Jacks disbanded.
Yeah.
Okay,
Of the
those
players
are his
who were
thoughts.
on before getting kicked, can you rank them from 1 to 8?
Sean, you win. That is the best question asked yet. Sorry, Tyler.
Now it's time for break.
Okay, so here, let me do this.
Do you want me to, hold on, do you want me to show the intro video? Or do you want me to show the first 10 seconds?
No, don't show it.
This is really
first-
planned announcement,
The little
guys. You
intro
can
is
tell.
so funny. It's like so bad.
Am I spamming that in the
So
chat?
I thought it was funny at first. Now I was kind of disgusted, and now I think it's funny again. So whatever, it's up. I put it on YouTube.com/Artosis TV. I'm making a new little show because I have just brought over Adrian to Korea. So he is actually, as we all know, he left. He got kicked out of Six Jacks, and he's now officially a TSL member. So go check that out at youtube.com/Artosis TV. Major now lives in Korea, is part of TSL.
You're going to make a show about that?
I am, man. Go watch it. I just put up the video.
It's called, like, Tour of All the Teams in the World, a major story.
Nope, he's this is it, man. He is in Korea. He's on a Korean team, and that is what it is.
Ascension, Imbalanced, and now what is the show called?
Shit, I forget. Hold on, I just changed the name.
New Path.
Go.
Yeah.
New Path.
New path. With that
Major
bombshell,
Pain. But I just named it for you.
or major, that's pretty good.
Major Pain. Dan, I got a question for you. I mean,
Yeah.
you've had a tough time finishing shows. You're doing a show about Major on a new team. Don't you think you're setting yourself up pretty
Well,
rough here?
No, I'm setting myself up perfectly because when he leaves the team, the show's over. There you go. Simple, man.
That's a good
But
point.
yeah. Anyways, it's going to be a lot of fun to have a player truly on a Korean team that's not a Korean, because I think this is the first one that's... Well, I guess Phoenix is in IM, kind of, but is he staying in IM? He's, like, coming back to North America soon, isn't he?
You know what I just fucking realized? Listen to this. Listen to this fucking epiphany I just had. The
Okay.
foreigner scene has sent to Korea Major, Phoenix, and Naniwa to join Korean teams. What the fuck are we doing? Those
That is actually where we take the break, just on that. We're going to
Oh my
allow that to
God.
just sit on people's brains for a second. When we
they're
come
like
back,
sap tours. They're gonna go in and like eat the teams from the inside out.
when we come back, it's time for that Brood War talk that I promised. We'll see you guys then. right, guys, we're back. Dan, did we kill YouTube as well?
I don't know.
Is your video still operating? Is new path still a go?
It's still a go, man.
All right.
In fact, I'm going to tweet it.
Looks like it's blown up on Team Liquid, so...
Cool.
Let's talk about Brood War. You guys seem to...
Blown up, it's got like 5 posts.
What? No, it's got a lot of posts.
Zombie!
On Team Liquid, it's got... Or, I mean, on the actual video, it's got a lot of posts, Jeff. But anyways... yeah. we'll start off with the most recent Brood War thing, the OSL Finals.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Sean, go ahead. And you guys can splooge about this in unison.
Oh my god. Okay, so Jin Air OSL was like not really going to be that interesting of a Star League until amazingly Zhongbi took out Flash in the round of A2-1. Like, he lost the first game, because they have a kind of weird format in OSL where they have once they get to the round of 8, they have 4 best-of-3s to play. So they play game 1 of each best-of-3 on one day, and then they play the remainder of the best-of-3 on another day. So on the remainder day, Zhongbi starts down 0-1 and wins 2 consecutive games to take them down. And
Are you saying Zhongbi?
Yeah.
Isn't it Jangbi?
I don't know. What Artosis?
I say Jenga. I haven't seen it.
Oh, you can't ask Artosis.
Yeah,
Jesus,
Artosis
John.
is the worst.
What did you just
probably Jongbi, but I call him Jangbi.
Oh, fuck. I Artosis it.
He also says Flash.
Flash is
Sorry, Sean, to interrupt. I apologize. Go ahead.
Flash, Jangbi. But yeah, so Zhongbi managed to like take out Flash. Everyone's kind of like, whoa. So that like a lot of people wanted a Zhongbi Flash final. But Zhongbi had to like take down Su, who's been playing a lot better lately, and like Zhongbi 3-0 Su, and everyone's kind of like, holy crap. So Fantasy and Zhongbi, I mean, even though they're not like Flash and Jaedong or anything like at these super high levels, like Flash, Jaedong, and Bisu are the names that always crop up for those 3 races. But Fantasy is known for just being really weird and really aggressive, and Zhongbi was trying to respond to that by being kind of weird and aggressive himself. And like the games got progressively more insane up to the finals. Like, Game 4 and 5 are 2 of the best Brood War games I've seen in a long time. It's just absolutely astoundingly good. I could not believe how incredible those 2 games were.
Double speed shuttle Reaver play, and Fantasy plays the exact same way he did 1 year ago when I stopped playing Brood War. But the cool part was Protoss in the finals. I guess that's extremely rare. I think outside of Bisu, Brood War has become a Zerg Terran game for the most part.
Actually, Artosis, you gave me a history lesson yesterday describing the Legend of the Fall. Got probably a lot of StarCraft 2 people who have no idea what the fuck that is.
Yeah, Protosses win championships in the fall. The maps favor Protoss more in the fall, and they win.
Well, it was a little more long-winded that he actually just made it 2 sentences.
Well, no, I mean that's like actually just summing it up. Like it seems like always in the fall, Protosses come out and win Star Leagues. In StarCraft 1, there's MSL and OSL, both Star Leagues, and there's 3 a year for each of them. And the ones in the fall are normally Protoss do much better in, and normally win.
Tyler, I think
I don't have the exact stats, but it's pretty conclusive. So it's called the Legend of the Fall, that a Protoss will like rise up during this time of the year and win a Star League, and it happened again with Zhongbi.
Tyler, I think you tweeted the other day, it's time to watch people play a game. But I don't actually want to say it word for word because I'll fuck it up like usual, so why don't you do it? We were talking about how it's time to finally watch it. Go ahead.
I said I was going to watch the OSL finals, and it's going to be nice to watch pro gamers after watching StarCraft 2 for so long. So people get insulted by shit like that, but
mean, Nick. Or fucking Tyler. Sorry.
Wow.
Really, what it was that I hadn't watched any European StarCraft 2 tournaments for a while.
That's true.
But dude, this series was amazing. And by the way, that like speed shuttle play, I did like the exact same strategy to Idra when I won WCG USA. It's like the gayest thing ever. You just like throw these shuttles in and then shove with like 1 million speed zealots and dragoons, and it's just the sickest timing attack. So thought it was awesome to see Zhangbi do that. And then this carrier play just, oh my god, it's like Fantasy's
so sick.
going for this harass, and it's like there's so many safer ways to deal with harass and kind of like snuff it out before Terran can really get their feet in the grounds. And Changby's just like, well, I'll wait for the slowest building unit in the game. Like, one interceptor is building at a time, and he's like just attacking a tank with one interceptor and like.
Oh, that was so funny.
Attacking it. I was like, oh my god. And yeah, just this game, the 5th game especially, just the way it develops, and man, it's just a really good game. Really good.
I really like. It was funny watching 1 carriers but 2 speed shuttles in StarCraft Brood War, because they move at a speed that would probably make so many StarCraft 2 players like piss themselves. Like, or a vulture, speed vulture. Holy shit!
God.
Those things are fucking fast, and it
Like,
was
they're
weird
faster
watching.
than Zerglings on creep in SC2 with speed. Like, they just move so stupidly fast. Because speed shuttles were the greatest. They like basically teleported. They had like wormhole upgrades in beta.
They were quick, man, and then carriers. I actually like got a little bit. I looked at it, my heart sank just a little bit. It's like, that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, carrier micro in StarCraft 1 is a billion times better than in StarCraft 2, because you can. What it is
So you mean like right-clicking them away while they attack everything?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Except
Damn, the Terran player!
You really gonna bitch about that?
Oh my
Seriously?
god. Dude, let me tell you
The
something.
guy who played
Dan,
the earliest style on Earth
I know, it's
he
scary.
lull over vent in like the 55th minute of the game where he's setting up his 98th tank is gonna complain about micro? Yeah.
Yeah. So you deploy all your interceptors, and once they're out, they're out. So you can like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to describe this properly, but you kind of like move your carriers around, and then you can give an attack command to focus fire something down, and then still like kind of kite with your carriers. And it just doesn't work with StarCraft 2, because like when you give a move command, I think the interceptors all come back too quickly, and the micro just does not exist in StarCraft 2 the same way. So it was really fun to watch that. The other thing that I was reminded of, because I haven't been watching StarCraft 1 at all for over a year, is from an observer's point of view, you have less information. Like StarCraft 2, the UI is nice and stuff, and you have all these menus and numbers to look at, but it's like the drama from not knowing that stuff, like knowing enough to know what's going on, but not knowing so much that you know everything.
That's actually
adds so much more suspense and drama. And like, there's so many StarCraft 2 games I watch where the commentators, if you're not really paying attention to the details and you're just kind of listening to commentators, then it's great. The commentators do their job, try to keep us suspenseful, but I can't help but look at the supply and be like, oh, this guy's 50 supply ahead. I don't know what this guy says to me. I know the game is over. There's no more suspense. These last 5 minutes are boring.
Unless they're Marauder.
Yeah. Yeah. And then StarCraft 1, like, even good players, you know, they have a sense of who's winning all the time, but there's still suspense no matter what, just because you have so much less information, and it's better that way, I think.
So, this is going to be kind of a weird question to you guys, knowing how the show has been going tonight, but for some reason, everyone knows I don't follow Brood War. I mean, I've watched it, but not as intensely as you guys did for a while. But for some reason, I was more emotionally invested in that entire series than I was for any match in StarCraft 2 thus far. And hearing you guys just talk about it, you seem more enthusiastic than most things in StarCraft 2.
All right.
Why?
But it's the production value, first off, for like an OSL Star League Finals or MSL Star League Finals is like so far beyond anything. Like GSL is getting up there, but the production is insane, of course. The backstory is like 13 years long now.
See, but I didn't know any of
these
the
guys have been pro
backstories, so
gamers.
that's not credible to me.
I mean, these guys. It's there. I think
they have larger live audiences too.
Yeah, they have
bigger
live
sound makers
audiences
in there.
I mean, there was times where they cut to the audience and like someone would just be like almost in tears at what was going on.
StarCraft 1's a beautiful game, man. Everyone's so good at StarCraft 1. Everyone at StarCraft 2 sucks still. I'm sorry, everyone still sucks. Like MVP's starting to look really good. At times, Nest Tier Ret will look really nice. but basically everyone's terrible, and you can find like a quadrillion things that you're wrong. Sometimes you see a StarCraft 1 game where like a player plays perfectly, and it's like, oh, this was like, I'm actually getting chills thinking about it right now.
Well, there's a couple of things too. Like, you have to take into account, first and foremost, when a lot of us talk about it, it's nostalgia as well. Like, this is our upbringing, this is our growing up. I know, again, you don't have that, but what you're channeling is a large audience of people that's their brother, that's their son, that's their friend that they went to school with. Like, their families close out shops to watch on TV this match. Like, people talk about it in stores. Like, you actually, even over the internet at home, can feel that culture, that energy, that excitement, and you're feeding off of that. And that's why a lot of leagues, like the NESL and some others, one of the primary complaints is I don't see a live audience, so it's not as exciting for me. So it's a different kind of experience. That's why MLG, with one of the smallest prize pools in all of esports, actually gets more attention than 99% of the tournaments. It's because there's 5,000 people screaming and yelling, and MCs doing like a cutthroat on stage. Like, it's approaching that. But what the other thing, and this is going to be a huge complaint, I hope you guys, I don't know, this is like my soapbox for a second. I really like that in Brood War you had 3 or 4 major championships a year. It built up. It had time for the person to be a god for a couple of months. Like,
that's very
you got
true.
excited about it. Right now, outside of Korea, we have MLGs on a regular basis. We have ESLs happening at regular basis. IEMs are random. They're invitational sometimes. Those are our major tournaments. And then our big tournament, the GSL, which Dan unfortunately went away for, so we'll have to repeat this, I guess. But it's every month. Someone wins, and I don't give a shit. We're already talking about the up and down matches. Like, who's getting knocked out? That's just as exciting for me. So what I want is a future where it's like there's 3 GSLs or there's 4 GSLs, and it's a build-up for 3 or 4 months where the culture has time to get excited about this stuff. Because right now, it's too like this, and it's not building the drama. You feel the drama in Brood War because of the heritage, but also because they worked for 4 months for that, not just 3 weeks.
That is a good point, but the way it has to be in Korea right now, I think, is how it is, because I've mentioned this before, and the way it's really hard to fall out of Code S. Basically, GSL is why there's pro gamers in Korea, because these top pro gamers are earning money through GSL constantly. Like, even the people that finish around at 32, they can live off of that. And the big sponsorships are all still in StarCraft 1 instead of StarCraft 2, so they can't, like, the teams don't pay these guys salaries. Some of them have, like, small salaries, but the scene could not support itself if it wasn't for this prize money that GSL's putting in every single time. So it's actually really important that we have that all the time.
I would think the quick turnaround makes the scene more volatile. You've got players falling in and out as long as they don't play Terran of Code S, so that means that security is not really accountable. Teams aren't signing players because, on one hand, you have a champion like MC, and then 2 months later, he's in Code B, where he's never going to be seen again.
Yeah, I mean, there's some truth to that. Some people fall out quickly, but overall, we've had a big group that's, like, moved through, for the most part, making enough money, and, I don't know. There needs to be, like, a ton of prize money right now in Korea, though, or it won't work. I mean, maybe once big sponsorships come and these people can live off it better, then we can have, 3 GSLs a year or something like that.
I just think you could, like, I understand what you're saying, absolutely. The idea that with more prize pools, more money is being shipped directly to the players so that they're able to sustain their pro gamer life. My argument would be, with a more classy system that attracts more drama, more attention, you have more stable salaries because the industry's stabilized. It's not volatile. You don't have people burning out and coming in and out. I mean, Fruit Dealer is a shade of his former self. We don't talk about him anymore. He's like the first champion, MC, 2-time champion. He's gone. Who cares? Out with the old and with the new. And I really feel like part of the problem is that a guy wins a championship. It's supposed to be the biggest deal in the world. They drop glitter. I watched MKP get raised on a platform and shit. Like, they had steam-powered machines in the studio for that little guy. But then, like, 2 days later, I don't give a fuck because the finals were terrible, and it's already time to talk about the next championship. That's not how any sport works. You can't find a sport that I can think of, at least, where once a month a new champion is crowned, and it's like the world champion.
Yeah, and well, the reason why GSL champions are seen as world champions is because the Koreans are the best right now, but can't it be seen in some ways as more of a league, and we can find our champion in a non-WCG other tournament?
I mean, yeah. It would just be a sad thing because I think GSL has the blessing of Blizzard. They have all the money. They should be the ones that crown a champion, but they're not doing that format. So, yeah, I mean, if MLG 2012 or ESL 2012 wants to say, hey, we're going to host a $100,000 tournament. It's going to be quarterly, and that's going to be our world champion. Or IPL for Pete's sake. So you got all the Koreans participating in that. Maybe that is the one. But I think the unfortunate thing, kind of like last show, we talked about how WCG had that prestige of like the national champion. Who cares about the prize pool? It's always been like the national champion crowning event. GSL from the early stages established itself as the tournament that if you win, you are the world champion. And if we had to break away from that mold, it would take a lot of deculturalization, which I think would be damaging to the scene.
No, I think that it should remain like that. I was just trying to argue the other point, but like world champion, that's when you say that has like the connotation of like a once a year thing. It's more like it's a GSL champion though, and we have a very small number of them still, which I think has actually been very good for StarCraft that we have the same people winning them over and over right now. Because if we actually had 9 different champions right now instead of 4 or 5, can you even name all those? With the 5 and 2 of them have 3, 1 of them has 2. I don't know. It's kind of working out like that.
To me, that just proves the point, though. Like a 3-time repeat champion is not a gold mouse winner like it used to be. You know what I mean? Nada Nick gets his gold mouse in like the 9th year of competing, and it's like this big fucking deal.
Yeah.
It's an incredible event, but now it's like, well, MVP's won more than anybody else. That's cool. I mean, I think the proof's in the pudding. Like, how excited are we about MVP? He's the best. Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about him.
Well, you get excited with everybody, though.
Sorry.
That's
Sorry for loving StarCraft, Jeff.
Hey, man, you can hear it in my voice, too. I do as well. That's why I want better.
Tyler, Sean, you guys kind of been quiet throughout that. What are your thoughts on what both Artosis and Jeff were saying?
Well, I want to continue along with what Jeff was saying, that, like, in terms of time length, that's, like, one huge factor that everything's just BAM! Like GSL, 1 month is a short time, and it's also, I think, the longest structure around that I can think of for, like, really big tournaments that actually, because I know, like, a lot of tournaments have, like, qualifier here, qualifier there, qualifier there. BAM! 1 weekend tournament. And it's so swift, but also it's like the number of players that a lot of this is drawing from. There's a lot of 32, 64-man tournaments, but there's also like several 100-person fields where there's going to be a winner. And I think that is like hard as hell. But when you have like 16 players for 3 months, and those are the ones that you're looking at, that's such a small, focused group that like you actually have time to get a sense of the personality of each player. And it's really nice. I mean, even if their personality, play-wise, sucks, you still get to know it. You still get to learn it. I still remember, for instance, Mumyang was a Brood War player who literally had, I think, the most boring, rote, macro style. All his hatcheries would have like 3 larvae at him, but he'd have like 20 hatcheries on 4 bases. And he would just have like very focused macro and really fast upgrades. And every time he entered a league, people would be like, oh yeah, it's time to watch the Mumyang style. And like everybody knew it because like the instant you land into the OSL top 16, you're going to get 6 of your games casted. Like featured, focused, straight up. And that's like 100% of your games actually get casted. But I mean like all of it. Like the worst you can ever do is to have your first 3 games casted because there's 6 games per round robin group of 4. Whoops. Yeah, but you get like all 3 games casted, and that's enough to be able to get the sense of someone. Because I mean, you look at what we did earlier on with Hey Pro, where it's like, yeah, he had some good wins in Zerg vs. Zerg, and it was like, did he? What's even his Zerg vs. Zerg style? He's had to play a ton of Zerg vs. Zergs in MLGs, and I actually have only seen maybe a quarter of them. And it's like that, not only is it kind of volatile, which I think any game where there's like a lot to learn, there will be that kind of volatility there, but I feel like imposing a lengthened structure with a focused set of players gives you the chance to learn them, to get familiar with them, because almost every single OSL, there's like a player that I wouldn't be a fan of at the start. But by mid-season, I'd be like, ooh, now that guy's cool. But in StarCraft 2, I can easily just be like, I'm not a fan of that guy. Time to wait 2 weeks until the person I'm a fan of is playing again, and I'm going to root for that person. So, yeah. Smaller tournaments.
Tyler?
damn it.
I got nothing
Spit
to
some
add.
truth. Aww.
What?
Sorry.
What?
I
Nothing?
don't know, man.
Well, this is supposed to be about Brood War. The next thing
Well,
I
it
have
comes
is...
off the MSL or OSL talk. I mean,
Yeah, no. I'm just saying, like, what... Tyler, I am going to get you to talk. What was your fondest memory of Brood War? In the entire history that you played, watched, did everything.
Winning TSL.
I mean, what was the... just whatever. You could spit as many of them as you want, but...
I don't know. I mean, yeah, winning TSL was nice. Going far in Courage was nice. There's probably a time, I think everyone except JP knows this time, where you've gone from just being some unknown random StarCraft player to being somebody. And it's not like a specific time that it happens, probably. It's just like you've been playing better and better people, you've been winning more and more, and then all of a sudden somehow like the community kind of regards you as a someone rather than a nobody. And you can kind of like go into a chat channel like X17 and everyone knows who you are and they all know that you're good, like that kind of shit. I think achieving that status was probably my most fond memory, because that's kind of what drove me to become good in the first place, is I just wanted to be one of those guys.
well, that and getting trained by Saddles, but yeah.
Such an inside joke,
Wow.
it sounds like.
Oh my god. How long was that laser sight targeted on his forehead, man? That was...
Tyler is one of my main sources of pride for the team that we created a long time ago, 88.
Yeah.
And he was one of the guys I actually talked to when eventually that team had to fall apart. But Saddles was on the team with us, and he was a pretty good player, but I didn't remember him being an idiot back then.
He was top 2 Florida.
After Nero.
Don't forget Box. He was ripping some Protoss face for a little bit there.
Dude,
Chosen.
that speech that Tyler just gave, though, like, holy shit. Because that feeling is so... Like, Dan knows that he's always been really good at everything. He told himself that since he was born. But for Tyler and I, we actually had to have that real feeling. So I'm just kidding, Dan. Like, I remember being a scrub in vanilla StarCraft going into Brood War, and I was actually in the team Dark Angels at the time, DA. And Testy, who not a lot of people know that name. His name was Enlarged Testy at the time. He's pretending to be a girl.
With the name Enlarged Testy?
Enlarged Testy.
I mean, I remember Testy from DS, but I didn't know it was Enlarged Testy.
He pretended to be a girl.
Yeah.
Yep. And I befriended him, and he just annihilated me for like 2 years straight. But for whatever reason, he was kind enough to just constantly say, "Hey, here's what you need to do different. How about you play my friend so and so?" Would be like a top Korean or a top, so it's just all these amazing players. He exposed me to them, and for the most part, I just got my ass handed to me. But eventually, I started winning games, learning, getting better, and I remember like just you do fairly well. Brood War was so small. You didn't have to do well in like 3 MLGs consecutively. You had to do well in like one tournament that everyone was watching because everyone watched it. That same feeling Tyler talks about, I remember that. I went from the guy who nobody knows who you are, your ladder rating's okay, to, what's up, Control? And that was an amazing feeling for a young man at that time in a competitive world like Brood War. So that was a pretty driving force too for me.
Dan, Sean?
What?
Our toast is here just fucking terrible tonight. Sean, what's the fondest moment?
I'll go after him.
I have a lot of fond memories. Like,
Zelos versus Day 9.
man, that was...
I remember that game.
You looked really good when you beat his first attack until he came out with like twice as much 30 seconds later.
But it was the sickest game. That's not a fair assessment of it. It was like
No, it was
5 minutes of Dan.
And I had tears in my eyes while I was watching that. It was awesome.
Lurkers and Lings.
Me too. Like a lot of my most fond memories are like kind of non-exciting sounding ones where it's like on my big moments were I always felt were on PG Tour or IC Cup, because like when you'd get to A or A plus, there would be like 10 people in the channel for like a week, and that's it. So you'd play against the same people. You'd play like 10 games against the guy, and then play him the next day and play him 10 games again, and then do that again and again and again. And it was really unforgiving, because I'm actually wondering if like anyone who's listening has played 50 games against the same person ever. Like that's a huge number of games, and like it was such a harsh lesson. It's like you think you have a lot of tricks, but you probably have like 5. And on day 2 or 3, you're going to run out of tricks, and you have to pull from somewhere else. You can't pull from surprise anymore, because it's like I'm not that clever. I can't think of something new every single game. I'm not like TLO or something who can just like look like a new person every match. But like, so like I had to just like force myself to play better, and it was always really nice when I would go like 5-5 with one of them, or even something like 3-7. And then I'd like go away and practice really hard for a week and come back and then go like 8-2 or 7-3. And I'd be like, I achieved something. I don't know exactly what it was, but I definitely got better at this thing, objectively. Yeah, and that felt like really, really good. But like I still remember also in like 2004, WCG down in Long Beach, and Dan was there. And because I remember, was that the first time we met in real life?
Yeah, actually, that was.
There's even a video of that shit.
And I remember there was like...
that was a different year, Jeff.
Oh, sorry.
You mean the one where we played Winter Bracket Finals?
Yeah. And like, because like I had it was originally... Okay, so they had 16 players, and they randomly seeded it. And the bottom bracket was it was like the bracket of death. It was like the top 8 players. And then I was in the easy side. And then that's because they had 15 players show up. But then the 16th player showed up, and they redid everything. And everything was the same, except I was in the bottom and Dan was in the top, and played against the Las Vegas kid first round, who was like this 10-year-old who showed up to a qualifier, and no one else showed up.
The Las Vegas kid didn't show up, did he?
Oh, he totally
No, I
did.
didn't play him.
Oh, you didn't play him? I could have sworn you did.
I played a Slog first round, FXO Slog. And
that's right. And
then I think I played Nero.
Martian
and then I played Fight is Blind, who was actually so sick good that year.
Yeah, he got
that means Dan beat him, by the way.
Of course I beat him. Like a Martosis. I only lost to Day 9 in StarCraft 1, man.
That's not true.
Okay. I only lost to Zerg in StarCraft 1.
There you go.
Well, I remember I was up against I had to play against Evade game 1 or round 1, and I just could not focus, and I like barely won that by the skin of my teeth, and I was kind of like and then I had to play against Froz, who I really, 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 really looked up to, and we played on my best map game 1, and I lost, and I was like, all right, well there you go, I guess I'm out. You know, you kind of like when you're up against someone who's like as good as Froz was, and he was like a 3-time USA champion and all this shit, and he the game 2 and 3, I like barely won game 2, and then played like very, very well in game 3 and won, and that was like such a weird feeling. Like 5 seconds after it was done, it's almost like when you've had like this hell week of final exams trying to turn in all your papers, and then like you turn in the last one, and you're like, I don't have to actually do anything more. It's over, and it was a really weird feeling being able to like look at myself and be like, well, I just did something I actually didn't think I could do. That's like kind of, that was really cool. I was like, wow, wow. And I remember like when I met Dan in the finals, you will never see a happier human being than Dan when he hit top 3. Because top 3, there was no differentiation between first, second, and third.
Oh, it didn't
Other
matter
than just,
anymore.
like, that-
Well,
yeah,
as soon as I
pride
get there,
since-
man, I was done. I just typed you the whole time. I was smiling like, "Hey, pro gamer!" I'm like, "We're
Yeah,
going to the
I
finals."
Hey, pro gamer.
Dude, I
It was so
remember
funny.
everything. You're like running with Lings. I'm like typing you on my Marines tie. I didn't give a shit. And then like when I had to play Froz,
Game.
he was like, I was like, "Listen, I just want to go eat. Fuck this." And he's like, "Okay, let's play best one." I'm like, "Yeah, just choose a map, whatever." And then I was like maxed out, and he was like, actually, he was like 180 supply. Remember, because like he was going BC, so I'm like, "Oh fuck it," and I just left the game and went and ate pizza with Skew and Nyokin. And then they were like, "You had a max supply. What are you doing?" And it didn't matter because there was no prizes. I was just that was like the happiest thing that ever happened, man. Ah.
And what about spectating wise?
Oh, I got that. I won. Ready? I have this. The happiest moment in StarCraft 1, spectating wise.
Go ahead.
Well, there was actually two. I feel. The first one was in OSL round of 4. I Love Uv against Reach. This was back when there was actually a question: is Terran too powerful? Because I Love Uv was actually dominating like way
As you can tell, the question
too
still
hard.
hasn't been answered.
Well, anyways, it was to the point where I was like trying to copy Uv's style, and I was like just beating people that I didn't feel I should beat in the way I was beating them and stuff, and I was just like, wow, this is weird. And then Reach, without anything cheesy whatsoever, like battled back toe-to-toe with I Love Uv's macro. Like the game on the space map, I was like crying during that game. It was just the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. Just that match, that best of 5 was best thing ever. And then also when all the foreigners came to Korea and White Rod beat Boxer on television, that was something else. That was so good.
Were there what would be I guess YouTube would be the best place to try to find VODs of all this stuff for people wanting to. You guys have any idea?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it
mean,
was
it should be on
called like
YouTube now.
IEF tournament.
Back then, you had to like download them in 8 chunks from a Chinese server, and like put them on a playlist, and like 6 of them would be the same. You're like, oh damn it, you have to like go find the other chunks.
Now, what about for the rest of you? I mean, spectating wise.
I found it. Here you go, JP.
I mean, mine, I've always been more, like, I always watched the Koreans, obviously, in the big leagues, but I've always been much more interested in the foreigner scene. That's been where my heart's mostly connected. I don't really identify with Korean players because I don't know them on a personal level. And for me, a couple of them, like, and this is going to sound like I'm making it up, but really it isn't. The two that come to mind for me are probably in this order. Idra's run at the National Championship for WCG, because it was coming off a really disappointing year before where he was facing like the most ridiculous ridicule. Like, his team told him I think it was actually the year he won, but his team basically said, if you don't win, don't come back. Like, we don't want you here.
Yeah, that was the most fucked up. And he didn't tell anyone that until after he won. And he fucking won, man.
He didn't deal.
That's what he did, guys.
He didn't deal with stress very well. So like the WCG USA tournament was kind of the year he overcame that, and he to this day claims that he was just as stressed and doesn't. But I mean, the difference is that he won that one and did it in convincing fashion, as opposed to the years before where he lost to players he shouldn't have. But it was pretty fun to watch, because I've always had I mean, Idra was the same back then, if you can imagine, just less muscles and worse hair, a little bit more angry, but it was really, really awesome to watch. And then the next one is Tyler's actually championship run, because it was kind of the same story for his WCG championship run, where it was like he's always been in the finals, he's always been around him, but I don't know, Tyler, you might be obviously you're a better perspective on this, but from where I could tell, like, your heart was in it, but you're always dealing with stuff like personal demons or just motivation or whatever. But then that year you became a machine. Like, it was actually pretty funny, because at the tournament we were all just like, well, you can't fucking beat Tyler. He just can't. It was the most powerful, like, it was actually more powerful than Idra's performance, where he lost one game. And that was to my 4 pool, by the way. Boom. I felt like
man.
Tyler dropped more games in his run, but the games he won were like...
Yeah, but that was literally G5 just, like, getting inside of his brain and fucking around with it. Like,
Yeah.
that was pure G5 being a genius that Tyler lost games to.
Yeah. Those were my 2 big ones, man, because I knew the guys, and I knew what was going on there, and I was pretty happy with the runs.
You know, one thing I really loved that I watched in StarCraft one actually was when we had the practice group for media going on for a really long time, and people were still, like, the Americans were working harder than anyone by far, and we had always known that our Terrans were better than the Russian Terrans. Like, idiots will tell you otherwise, but our Terrans were always, always, always better. And then we played in this clan war against it was the top Russians against us, and then we put out Jeff, and he just killed them all because he'd been playing with me, Idriskew, Nyokin nonstop. And that was, like, so fun to watch because it's, like, Android and Advocate and, like, Brad OK and stuff. And Jeff just destroyed each and every one of them. That was, like, such a powerful moment.
I remember that. They kept hosting Blue Storm because each of them was so proud that, like, they weren't going to have me beat them all on Blue Storm. And right down the line, that was one of my... Yeah, thank you, Dan. That's one of my favorite moments, too.
Before every WCG, those were all my main practice partners.
Yeah, me too, actually. I played with them nonstop because we were all Terrans in America. So Android and Advocate and them, they were who I practiced with always.
Dude, Android and Advocate, I've played so many games against. Those guys are awesome.
Dude, I have played Android more fucking times than people have, like, slept or something. It's insane. I, like, don't know. I, like, want to make this huge metaphor or something, but, like, I have played him a lot.
Sean or Tyler, most fondest memory of spectating a match or witnessing something at a tournament?
I have 4.
4, upping the ante.
All right, Boxer versus Joyo on Paradox. I watched live.
Yeah, I did too, actually.
Is that not incredible? That's fucking incredible. My God, you got up so early, you boss.
I was still awake, all right? I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't go to college day 9.
Also, I Love Uve, who had a 27-0 record against Zerg. And then July Zerg. I bet on July Zerg with Liquibet points on Team Liquid. I voted for him because Asem had been giving me a whole bunch of replays of July. And I was like, oh my God, this is so good. And, you know, I'd love to project my knowledge now and be like, yeah, that was clearly objectively better play. But basically I just became a fanboy of July, and I was like, July's going to win. And he did. He took down I Love Uve, and no one thought he could, and then July Zerg went on to win that first ever OSL, the Gillette OSL, 2004, in July, for the record. And so that's 2. The third one, and it's actually when my brother played against Tyler in that qualifier down in Texas, and I'm so sorry about that. Like, I'm going to bring it up. But what was really exciting for me is that, I that was one of the first big times that Nick was at a tournament that I wasn't at, because I went and qualified at a different one, and Nick went and qualified at a different one. And almost always we'd go to the same tournament together. And I just got updates of his tournament via BattleNet typing. Via someone who would wander over and look at Nick's games and run back and type to me. And that is just the most heart-poundingly intense thing in the whole universe. And then when Nick, somehow lost, 8 individual games to Tyler, but had won 3 out of 11. But they were the 3 that counted. I don't know how it worked. It was this weird, double elimination system where, it was 2 best-of-5s at the end, and Tyler won the first one 3-0, and then barely lost the last one 2-3. Yeah. So Nick went 3-5 with Tyler and took first place. But that was it was still really awesome for me, because Nick was really worried about that one.
Interestingly enough, that's actually Tyler's lowest point in StarCraft Brood War 2.
But the other best one was Iris versus GG Play. 2007.
That was so good.
Jesus, I even remember that game. Damn.
Oh my God. Iris was like a fireman, when a building was on fire, firemen run in. When a dark storm goes up, he runs past it. Oh God, yeah. He was so cool.
I didn't understand where the fireman thing was going until the very last second. Pulling in his hose, is he tastes like the water? I didn't get it.
It's like a fireman. It's so good looking and fucking the chest.
He put you right over his shoulder.
Dude, Iris just fucking obliterated GG Play in the first 2 games.
It was for sure a 3-0, man. How did that turn around? Holy crap.
And then it was game 3 on Heartbreak Ridge was the closest thing I have ever seen just the one base straight Marine tank push against like two Hatch Mutalisk, and like the most barely correct control by GG Play ever. Taking the win, and then taking that like crazy win on Monty Hall by like pushing straight through the center, just like a solid game. And then that 45
game.
That fucking Python game where he was literally losing until minute 40 of 45. And then won in the last 5 minutes.
Dude, that was like, I have
GG
like
Play coming back from 0-2 to 3-2. Oh god, oh my god, that was so good.
Did you know? I don't know if you heard this little piece of lore. After Game 2, GG Play went outside the booth and said specifically to whoever it was he was talking to, I forget if it was his father or his coach, he said, "I'm going to win now." He announced that he was going to win 3-0 from there. It's like, makes it even better.
Sicko.
Tyler?
Everyone's got exciting ones. I'll just take a kind of obvious one, but still, it's probably the one that sticks out the most to me was the good old Bisu versus Savior series, where Bisu saved PVZ pretty much. So like, this is the context is just Savior was unbeatable in any matchup, but especially ZVP. Like, it was insane. But yeah, Savior was just incredibly good. Just always did the perfect thing, and against any Protoss, like, no Protoss stood a chance at all. Bisu was an up-and-coming player. He had some good series. I mean, it was a finals, so he made it to the finals. That's something. But no one gave him a chance at all. And then he came out with basically a new strategy. There's always going to be some random person that did it once before, but like...
I thought that was Jeff at first. I was
Dude,
like, what the fuck?
Come on. That's the meanest thing you've said today.
I thought you were doing your breathing into the mic things at Tyler.
Little dog, like, I want to kill it. Kill it so bad.
Anyway, pretty much Bisu was the first person to really do this strategy, which was to go like Corsair DT. Corsair is kind of the equivalent of Phoenix, and Overlords all had detection. You didn't have to upgrade them to an Overseer. So it's like DTs were kind of useless against Zerg because they had detection from the start from their Overlords. And then Corsairs can only hit air, and they're pretty much useless against anything but Mutas. And then Bisu's like combines these two useless units and like totally thrashes Savior, and like Savior finally for once doesn't know what to do. Like Bisu figured it out. And then it wasn't just that. I mean, Bisu had amazing mechanics anyway, and he turned out to be one of the best Protoss of all time. But it was the fact that this strategy wasn't just like an anti-Savior strategy. It turned out to be like a mainstay in the PvZ matchup, and it pretty much like rescued Bisu, almost single-handedly rescued the PvZ matchup from being the most difficult quote-unquote imbalance match, and he got it back to being more 50-50 rather than like 40-60, which I think it was probably getting close to that around those times.
Yeah, it was around like 56%, and then afterward it swung all the way down to 44% win rate for Zerg for about 15 months. It was like really sick, like that. Like it was just suddenly Protosses were like, "Oh, is that what you do?" And Zergs were like, "Oh!" And just like got demolished, and it was just insanity to see. It was so great.
Yeah. I have another moment I have to bring up. I'm sorry. Nada was falling off for like a really long time, and then he decided that he wanted to do well again, and he like hinted at it, and then I think it was round of 8 of MSL, I believe. It could have been MSL though, against Jongbi. You know the match I'm talking about, everyone?
Oh, shit.
He like really late in his StarCraft 1 career when like Nada had disappeared and everyone wrote him off. He like came back and he played like, and at the time Jongbi had the highest win percentage in the world against Terran, and Nada played like a perfect game and like destroyed Jongbi, but then Jongbi came back with like proxy gates and DT drops and crap like that and won, but Nada played like a perfect game, and I was like, oh my god, that's Nada. Like that's the Nada I remember from 3-4 years ago. It was so good.
God, that is the Terran Artosis I know. Pointing out a game that Nada loses is Terran playing perfectly.
No, he won that game.
He won the game.
Oh, okay. I thought.
And then he lost like proxy reavers and proxy gates, and just shit Protoss can do.
I think it's time for final thoughts, which is the new name for shout-outs. So Jeff, final thoughts.
My sponsors, of course, big shout out to them: Intel, Monster Energy, SteelSeries, Kingston HyperX, InWin, Six Pool Gaming, Slappa, Bigfoot Networks, Gunner shit. There's like fucking 35 more of them. I think that's most of them. All my fans, really appreciate it. I mean, I've had my ups and downs in StarCraft 2. Definitely learning that this is, when you go pro and you live in a house and everything about your life is StarCraft, it's really, really fun. I wouldn't have it any other way, but it's fucking hard too. So a lot of my fans helped me get through that. I really appreciate that. Just MLG Orlando, as always. I think we're going to have another Stater game or two before that, but
Yeah.
just as a reminder, really excited. Come out and say hi. EG just released their sweatshirt. I think it'll be for purchase before MLG Orlando. Worst timing ever. But do buy that sweatshirt for Orlando in case it gets chilly. Yeah, really, just happy. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you, everybody. Love you all. Mwah.
I didn't ask you guys, but do you guys want to do a show in Orlando on stage?
Obviously.
Okay. All right, show in Orlando on stage. there's the announcement. We don't have to type that at all. I'm also trying to get shirts for Orlando, but I'm not sure if we'll have them yet. I'll have more on that, I think, towards the end of the week. So probably next Tuesday I might have confirmation on that. Artosis, final thoughts?
Okay, I'd like for everyone to go out and check out this video, youtube.com/ArtosisTV, about Major going to Korea. I've been trying to get him to Korea for a really long time. I really believed in StarCraft 1. In fact, he was going to be I brought over Tyler, and then Rhett, and then Major was coming next. I had it all set up, and then StarCraft 2 came. So finally he's over there. I'm excited about it. I know he doesn't have the best image, but I really believe in this kid. I think he's going to do a great job. So hopefully he does. So go check that out. And we just started selling some Naniwa shirts. If you want to give Naniwa some support, you're a Naniwa fan, on thehandsomernerd.com. Go check that out. The site may jump up and down because you guys all visit at once, which is fine. And that's about it. Add me on Twitter, Artosis. Thank you.
Me too. Please.
Yeah, all of our Twitters are underneath our faces. Sean, shout-outs, final thoughts, whatever you want to call them.
I want to thank everyone for being so unbelievably nice when I couldn't do the daily. Because my internet was going out, and I was also extremely burnt out, so I had to take a break. And I think that there was like a good 2.5 weeks where there were just no shows produced, and I got almost nothing but the nicest emails ever that I've ever seen. The people would be like, oh yeah, take a break, it's so awesome. And then like other people being like, can you do coaching? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm too busy. Like that was like literally the only emails I received in that period. It was so nice that everyone was very encouraging and nice. So just thank you all for watching the daily. I'll be doing one tomorrow, and I'll be playing more Diablo 3. Woo!
Tyler?
Thanks to the good old sponsors. Got Stride Gum sponsoring me. Thank you guys. The Little App Factory, Razer. Guys are also awesome. Sponsoring Team Liquid, teamliquid.net. That's your go-to place for discussing StarCraft 2.
That's it?
That about does it for me, man. Nothing special tonight, yeah.
Well, if there was ever an episode for Sean to stay the entire time, it would be the 50th episode. So, Sean, thank you for staying the entire episode. We'll be back next week, guys, 10:30 Central, 11:30 EST. Go check out Slasher's interview with Nada, by the way, over at MLG.tv. And also the VODs for the MLG Global Invitational, which myself and Artosis are casting, are up. For last week, the US and EU round of 8 are up. And the Korean round of 8 should be up within a couple hours, if not sometime tomorrow. So, see you guys later. Thanks for tuning in. This is State of the Game. We're signing out. See you guys then.